I believe in the healing power of flow style yoga.
So you're a dancer.
I started when I was 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's going on? Tell me about your ills.
My right ankle, right outside.
The outside?
The outside of this ankle here.
We can definitely get into stabilizing and strengthening that and then stretch the ankle some. You want to come outside?
Yes.
Come out to my little yoga perch.
I love.
Stand in Tadasana towards the back, and I want you to take that block and put it between your ankles on its skinniest width. And lift it a little bit up so that wiggle your feet closer together, and then really squeeze it. So it's not quite on the floor, right? So it's really on your ankles, and then give that a really good squeeze. And you feel how that right away hugs your outer ankle bones in a lot? Yeah. That's great. And I like that lifting of your toes. Lift and spread your toes, but when you lift, do that again. Lift and spread your toes, but then really press the balls of your feet down and just do that for a little bit. Feel how that really wakes your feet up, and you should probably feel that all the way up your legs and maybe even into your pelvic floor. That's awesome. Okay, keep squeezing that block. And then I want you to bring your hands onto your hips for a little more stability, and then spread and land your toes. And then lift up onto your toes, onto the balls of your feet, and squeeze that block. Yeah. Yeah, good job. Keep squeezing the block. Really nice. And stand up really tall through your spine. And then hug in. So you do that. I'm going to talk real quick. So what happens when you roll the ankles a lot is all of these tendons and ligaments start to get really long and overstretched. So when we practice and when we stand and walk, a lot of times we're rolling out a little bit, even if we don't think we are. So you just hug and hug and hug, and that's going to start to get tiring, even that. All right, good. So you just keep hugging that, and then try and lift your arms up. You might lose some of your stability. If you feel like you need your hands at your hips, you can bring them back and just hug into the midline. Great. Keep your heels lifted, and then start to bend your knees like a third of the way down. Keep your heels lifted and start to bend your knees. Really good. Keep reaching up. Reach up through your back ribs as well as your front ribs. Really nice. And go another third of the way down and another third of the way down. Really good. You go as low as you can. You might not be able to go too much lower. That's beautiful. And then just tip your fingertips to the floor. Squeeze that block and straighten your legs and come into a little forward bend. And let your heels land down. Really nice. And just squeeze that block. If it falls to the floor, it's no big deal. Just squeeze it. Keep squeezing it with your inner ankles. Yeah, really good. And then slowly start to come into a chair pose. More traditional asana shape. Yeah, and hug your ankles in, bring your front ribs in, and squeeze those ankles. Really good. And if it feels good to lift your toes again, to really ground through the inner balls of your feet, that's cool too. And feel how as you squeeze your ankles in, you'll feel your quads engage, and the whole leg should kind of start to light up a little bit more. Really nice. Take one more big breath. Don't forget to breathe. Yeah, that's the practice. Really nice. And then stand up tall. Take a big breath in, straighten your legs, and bring your hands to your heart. Sweet. So you could just do that and do ankle lifts like that, like twice a day in the morning and the night. And it's just going to start to stabilize the ankles. But we can also bring this into a little bit of flow. You want to do that?
Definitely.
All right. So hands to your hips again. Just revisit those few little postures. Lift high up on the balls of your feet. Take a big breath in. Squeeze to the midline. Awesome. Reach your arms up. Take a big breath in. Firm your front ribs. Lift your pelvic floor and lower 1/3 of the way. Pause there. Take an inhale and lower another third of the way. Squeeze your outer ankles in. Inhale. Go another third of the way. Really awesome. Put your fingertips down. And just lift your hips up into a little forward bend. Squeeze the block. Land your heels. And then crawl your hands forward towards a downward facing dog. Crawl, 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 and keep squeezing the block. So your heels can lift, or if your hamstrings are really open, you can ground your heels, but don't worry about having your heels down. And then root your thighs back. If you want to lift your heels up and bend your knees a little bit, that's fine. Press your hands down and squeeze your outer ankles in. And if you're used to doing that rolling of your ankles, it's going to feel kind of unfamiliar to have your outer ankles really hugging in. And just take a couple more breaths. Really press. Spread your thumbs a little bit, little texter thumbs. Look at your right thumb is all crinkled in because you probably text with your right thumb. Spread that thumb because your right thumb's connected to your right ankle. Okay, that's totally theoretical, but it's possible. Okay, good. So the block's gonna fall down. That's okay, just let it fall down. Draw your right knee into your chest and step to your right thumb tip. You can pull it there if it doesn't quite get there. Good. And come up onto your fingertips for a minute. Keep your back leg straight. And then I want you to think that you're hugging your inner left heel onto that block. Yeah, even though it's not going to necessarily touch. And that's going to keep you from rolling the ankle. Do you feel that? Because probably you're in a pattern of rolling the ankle out. In yoga, we often call that sickling the ankle. And just take a few breaths in the lunge. Excellent. Nice. And then put a little bend in your back knee. Really fire your back leg and come right up to stand, up into a high lunge. Yeah, reach your arms up. Little bend in the back knee. Excellent. And then you'll feel maybe a little wobbly in that back ankle. Keep hugging that outer ankle in and think of the inner back heel reaching a little bit further back. Really good. And then bend your back knee so it kind of tips down towards the floor. Reach up through your fingers and then just straighten your back leg, and we'll open up a little bit at the front of the hip. And do that a couple more times. Bend the back knee, almost tap it down, and then straighten your back leg. Really good. Do that one more time. Hug your right hip in, reach through your inner left heel, and then go ahead and straighten your back leg. Super nice. Put your hands down on the floor, and then just step back to down dog. And then walk your hands back, and the whole time, heels out, heels in, outer ankles in, squeeze the block. Walk, 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 walk back. Squeeze the block, bend your knees and come up to a chair pose. Squeeze the block, firm your belly, stand up tall, take a big breath in. And let's do the other side. Hands to your hips, take a big breath, squeeze the block, lift your heels off the floor. Squeeze the block, reach your arms up, inhale. Front ribs in, good, squeeze that block, exhale. Deep breaths into your back ribs, 2, bend your knees, come a third of the way down. And another third of the way down. And another third of the way down. Reach up through your back ribs. Good. Tip your fingers down. Lift your hips, straighten your legs, land your heels, forward bend. Super nice. Walk your hands forward. One big breath to down dog. Walking right into it. Squeeze the blocks. One breath. Hips up and back, pressure. Stretch that right thumb. Bring your left knee into your chest and step right to your left thumb. Really good. Okay, come up into your fingertips, and now same work. And you might notice, because it's your right ankle that gives you problems, that one likes to bow a little bit more to the right. Do you feel that? Yep. Maybe not. Reach through your inner back heel back behind you like it was standing on a wall. Good. And then hug your hips into the midline. Put a little bend in your back knee. Fire your belly and lift upright. Lift your arms up. Excellent. And then keep hugging your outer right ankle in. Yeah, I see it bowing out. Yeah, this one I can see is way more unstable. Reach through your inner back heel. Good. Bend your back knee so it almost touches down. Reach up through your fingertips and straighten your back leg. Do that 2 more times. Good. Lift your back ribs a little bit, babe. Straighten your back leg. Good. Do that 1 more time. Inhale. Straighten your back leg. Really nice. Tip your hands down and step right back to down dog. Good. Take a slow walk back. Walk your hands back, 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 back. And then just slip that block aside. Just take it right back behind your mat, forward fold. And now imagine you had the block there. Don't let your feet get wider. Just squeeze that imaginary block. Come through chair pose. Bend your knees. Really good. Stand up tall. Okay, let's do one more little round. Passing through that a little swifter. Hands to your hips. Lift high. Squeeze the imaginary block. Reach your arms up. Take a big breath in. Reach up. Heels high. Hug your outer ankles in. Lower halfway down. Good. Take a breath in. Reach up. Hug your outer ankles in. That's awesome. Right ankle. Good. Forward fold. Fingers down. Heels land. Legs straighten. Walk to down dog. One slow breath. Really good. Draw your right knee into your chest. And step to your right thumb. And then just go ahead and ground your back heel. Ground the heel down. And grab that block that we put forward there for you. Put it underneath your right hand. You don't have to use a block, but it's nice. And then lift your left arm up. So we'll come to extended side angle. Parsvakonasana. And I want you to be really aware of the back foot tracking with your back knee. So there's a slight angle forward, like a 20 to 40 degree angle in that back foot. And then you should feel some stretch of the outside of this leg all the way down to the ankle. And if you really root that outer foot down and find your left instep, you should feel it even a little bit more. Really nice. And then take some deep breaths and get a good stretch on your whole left side body. Right shoulder blade on your back. You can always have that block a little bit higher if you need to, Ricky. Take a couple more breaths. Big breath in. Wrap your outer right hip underneath you and press your outer right thigh against the right arm. Good. Do one more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Really nice. Good. And then just bring your left hand down, lift your back heel, move the block off to your left side so it's there for you on the other side. Press your hands down and come right back to down dog. Awesome. Take a big breath in. Spread your right thumb. Good job. And then draw your left knee into your chest. We'll do the left side right away. Good. Ground your back heel. Now this is your tricky one. That looks good. That's a good angle in your foot. Grab the block if you need it. Put it outside your left ankle. Nice. Root strongly through the outer border of your right foot. And then lift your right arm up. You can also extend it in line with your ear. I'm more interested in the work of this back leg for today. Press your inner back thigh, the inner right thigh onto the bone. That's going to give you a little elevation in that back leg, and then you can wrap the left hip underneath you as you press your leg against your arm. And then take some really deep breaths. Good, so you feel the stretch from your outer foot all the way up the ankle, the outer calf, the outer leg, outer hip, arms. Good, take one more big breath and wrap this left hip as you press your leg to your arm. Really good. Nice. Lift your back heel as you bring your right hand down. Move that block off to the side. Good. Come through downward facing dog. And then walk your hands back to your feet most of the way, and then your feet forward a little bit. So you come back to Uttanasana. And forward fold. And just take some breaths. You can straighten your legs all the way or most of the way. And I just want you to look at your feet here and just suss it out. Do you still see your right ankle rolling out? Just look at your own imbalances. We often just don't even bother to look, So really see, is one arch collapsing, or is one of your feet, are the toes really scrunched in? You spread and open your toes, and then continue that balancing act of hugging the outer ankles in, but you don't want to collapse on the inner arches at the same time. So you want your inner arches to have an arch, a good rounded shape, but the outer ankles to hug in. And then the knees should track the feet, and that's a whole other class. All right, wiggle your feet together, and then just lift your heels up, come onto the balls of your feet, drop your butt down, and sit down. That was nifty, right? Okay, so grab the block that's behind you and come into Baddha Konasana, soles of your feet together, knees apart. And I want you to put that block, right between your feet, but flip it to its skinniest width. And then let's put this block, this blanket underneath your butt, so you lift your seat up a little bit. Great. And then pull the block back a little bit, good. And then prong your fingertips back behind you so you can lift your chest up. Really nice. We're not going to forward bend here. So try and lift up nice and pert on your sitting bones and squeeze the block. Great. So you feel how this gets you to engage your inner foot, right? Okay, so the outer ankle bone hugs away from the floor. Really nice. So in postures like this, in pigeon pose or Janu Shirshasana, any pose where we have the knee bent and we're opening the hip, often we're doing that roll of the ankle, and then we're just stretching and stretching and stretching and stretching this ankle in a really lax way. So you should feel this really toning and strengthening. Squeeze the block. And then to open the inner groin, you're just gonna press the block together like you were gonna squeeze the air out of it, and feel your inner thigh move to the inner knee. Beautiful. And then really lift your chest up and up and up and up and out of your hips. Lovely. Do one more breath. Big breath in, squeeze the block. Big breath out. Okay, flip the block to its medium width between your feet. Yeah, exactly. And squeeze it. And take 5 breaths that way. Prong your fingers back behind you. Lift up high on your sitting bones. Squeeze the block. Good. Root your inner thighs to your inner knee, and then you can feel the outer knee in a little loop moving to the outer hip. So there's a circuit moving from the hip around the knee. Good. Just take one more breath. Squeeze the block. Excellent. Lift your heart. Relax your neck. Relax your jaw. Good job. Okay, widest width. Great. Get on the balls of your perfect. Nice. Can you pull it back a little bit? Feet back. Beautiful. Prong your fingers well. Lift your heart. And if I had another blanket, I might put it underneath your butt, but you look pretty good. And then lift your chest up and squeeze that block. Take 4 more breaths. Good. Try and roll a little bit onto the front side of your sitting bones if you can. Good. Squeeze the block. Inner thigh wrapping around inner knee, outer knee wrapping to the outer hip. Good. 2 more breaths. Squeeze the block and lift your spine up. See if you can roll a little bit more to the front side of your pelvis. Yeah, that's hard. If we had a higher blanket, that would make it a little bit easier. Nice. Great. Really beautiful. And then take the block aside and then bring the soles of your feet together in a more traditional Baddha Konasana. And pull your heels back a little bit. Do the same thing. Prong your fingers back for a minute. And even just lift your butt up a little bit off the floor, and then roll. No, you're the other way, the pubic bone back. So you come, yes, there you go. Nice. Land your seat. Good. And then sit up tall. Press your feet together. Yeah, really nice. Outer ankle toning away from the floor. And then you can stay right there, or you could angle forward and see how you feel coming forward in the forward bend. But don't lose the integrity of your ankles. Yeah, and that forward bend might look exactly like that. That's really nice. Just take a couple more breaths. Sweet. Yeah, you could totally grab the mat and traction it apart a little bit to bring you a little bit further forward. Really good. Take one more breath. Up and out of your hips. Really nice. And then just sit upright. You can use your hands to bring your legs together. And then straighten them forward and give them a little shake out. Do you want a restorative pose? Okay. So take the blanket out from underneath your butt. Scooch forward a little bit. Take it aside. And you're going to take your two blocks and we're going to make a little tower for you. Okay. Bend your knees. I'll set you up. Give me your blanket. So we'll put the blanket here and we'll make a little perch for your legs. And then you're just going to swing your legs over and your calves are going to go on this guy. So scoochy, scoochy forward. And this will be a very mild inversion. Maybe not that far, more calves than knees. Okay. And then just lie down. All right. Yeah. And you might need now to go forward. So it's really the meat of your calves. Really good. And that's just going to help to drain all inversions. Really good for stuff that's happening in your feet and your ankles, because you know a lot of us stand all day and get a bunch of fluid retention in the feet and the lower extremities. So just let all of that drain down and towards the heart, and you get to chill out for a while. Thanks, Ricky.